Thousands of China's most powerful politicians are gathering in Beijing on Friday to chart the country's roadmap for the next 5 to 15 years. The annual National People's Congress, or NPC, was postponed last year following the coronavirus outbreak. This year, COVID-19 cases are under control, and analysts say President Xi Jinping will be touting an image of triumph, as well as consolidating his power.
He has been establishing his power through political and military achievements. In the future, he will focus on competing with other superpowers. He plans China's political future like an emperor.
Strengthening loyalty to the Chinese Communist Party is a priority. Beijing is preparing for the party's centenary in July.
During the Congress, China's leaders will release their annual work report outlining economic targets. Beijing is expected to encourage domestic consumption and continue to push for a more prosperous society. To do this, they will need to address the challenges of a widening wealth gap and an aging population. A GDP goal is also usually set, though this was skipped last year because of uncertainties around the pandemic. And some expect China's defense spending to be accelerated, especially given recent tensions with Taiwan and in the South China Sea.
China's strained relationship with the United States is another focal point. Beijing had hoped to reset ties with Washington, but US President Joe Biden is continuing the tough stance taken by his predecessor.
From their perspective, it's been disappointing. They see a lot of the same rhetoric, a lot of the same goals and ends, methods, means that were employed by the Trump administration.
Internationally, Beijing is facing increasing criticism over its treatment of Muslim Uyghurs, as well as political reforms in Hong Kong. It's expected to tighten its grip over the territory and pass laws to ensure only those loyal to Beijing are able to hold office. The national security law banning subversion was unveiled at last year's NPC. Dozens were arrested under the law this week for holding a primary vote ahead of elections. Meanwhile, environmental policymakers will be watching for further action on climate change. The government is expected to set targets for reducing carbon emissions, moving towards Xi's goal of making China carbon neutral by 2060. Katrina Yu, Al Jazeera, Beijing.